We have a theorem called the reference angle theorem, which says that we can use reference angles in order to find trigonometric functions simply by doing the trigonometric function of the reference angle and then doing one more step of determining whether or not our trigonometric function should be positive or negative depending on the quadrant that the angle is in. Now, let's talk real quickly about the quadrants. Our plane, okay, x and y axes, divide the plane into 4 quadrants, okay? This is the first quadrant, the second quadrant, the third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. Okay, those are our quadrants. So based on those quadrants and looking at the definition of our trigonometric functions, we know if our points x and y would be negative or positive in each of these. So for example, I'll just look at one example. If I were to look at, say, cosine, the cosine of an angle, well, I know the definition of cosine based on points on the terminal side is x over r. Since r is always positive, the sine of x, and when I say sine I mean positive or negative, will determine the sine of the cosine, whether or not cosine is positive or negative. So in the first quadrant, x is positive, so cosine will be positive here. Cosine would be positive. In the second quadrant, the x-coordinate is negative, so the cosine would be negative. In the third quadrant, x is still negative, so the cosine would still be negative. And in the fourth quadrant, x is positive, and so the cosine would be positive. So you can do this process for any trigonometric function by looking at the x and or y, the signs, and what that would give you in each of the quadrants.